it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer comment, and that is to talk about the relationship with a narcissist that is typified by fear. And they say they are sort of always fearful. And even though they're in a close relationship with this person, they are always fearful. So I think that that's a great viewer question because it calls to question, how are you feeling? And your feelings really are based on your experiences, your thoughts, and sort of why you feel that you're not settled, or really what is known as feeling safe, or really the absence of fear. So love really is the absence of fear. And like it says, love is patient, love is kind, all these different things. So what is that fear all about? What is that concern? What is that trepidation? What is that sort of paralysis, like an emotional freeze, if you will? Pete Walker, in his book From Surviving to Thriving, he talks about that sort of fawn mode where people become literally stuck, and that if this happens again and again to you, you will not be able to really sort of feel that you are able to manage your own emotions, your feelings, sort of your own thought process. Your experience it might feel like a roller coaster. And this is based oftentimes on chaos, which means if you're in a relationship with someone who is narcissistic or controlling, there's going to be a lot of disorder or chaos. And this chaos, I think, is really a cause of a lot of the fear. Also, there are insecurities that are unresolved that then become chronic and not dealt with. So, for example, if you have someone who, as a child, did not learn sort of disciplines. They learned that they were unlimited, that they could do whatever to whom whatever, and they were not held accountable and responsible, that they just sort of got away with it. And then other people were exploited as a result. This will show you sort of how the environment is created that will create an environment of fear. So understanding what causes fear in an environment for you, and to be able to have the role of metacognition, your ability to sort of reflect or think about what you're thinking about with your mature mind of the present. And then looking at what was really going on without a filter of trying to make excuses for them, or I deserve this, I was so horrible, whatever excuses. If you can just go back to the situation with really where the fear began, you'll see oftentimes what truly happened. And this might be a process. So this might take some time, even months or even years, for you to grow in richness and understanding how your physically and your physicality has reacted to this, because we're talking back down to the soma level, really the DNA, the cellular feeling, all those moving in symphony and orchestrated together. All your cells are as one. So you have to realize then, when was this foundation of fear laid down? And why did you continue along the path that said go this way towards fear? Courage is the ability to face fear and do something anyway. But to what degree has this become a stressful sort of pressure or fear, or always feeling that you have to prove and justify? You have to come out with something new to appease or please somebody. You are not good enough. There is something that always has to be done. There's something that has to be proved or justified in order to keep on the up and up or appease the narcissist and their chronic sort of discontent oftentimes. So people who are then living with this type of person or become integrated or sort of very connected, they become very reactive or responsive to these wills or these whims. So to relieve the pain, to relieve the fear, do this, give this, don't say this, don't do that, walk on eggshells here, tolerate the crazy making. You're so lucky to be, hated, or whatever it is. Usually that's the bottom line. You should be so lucky to only receive this criticism, or, in other words, you're lucky for even being disrespected, or all these different sort of cognitive dissonant states, which just don't really mix. It's like oil and water. The two substances aren't meant to be combined. They'll always sort of separate. And so that it really then, I would say, sits in the guts and on the hearts and the minds and on the spirit of those who have been victimized by this fear as a motivator. There's always going to be certain fear or certain anxiety or discomfort, but not as a large percentage of your life, because really it becomes a negative or a derogatory or a disease provoking or a pathology inducing experience, which oftentimes is rewarded by others, rewarded by advertising. Just get that, third Starbucks. You're not really much of an achiever until you're hepped up on this stuff, or whatever is reinforced by, get the sports car, speed, flash, shine, whatever it is can cause you then to keep this cycle of pressure in sort of a false evidence appearing real life. So you're not really, you're fulfilled through sublimation, what Freud would call sublimation. So you're using something else to satisfy the needs that was not satisfied. So, sublimation, which means, you need to be heard in life, and then instead of not being heard, you might go to a casino, and then the person would play slots all day, and then ding ding, they just want to control and hear a ding 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 or something. So that's sublimation, sort of, rather than being able to satisfy your needs, they do it in another way. They're sublimating. They're taking it out in some other place in order to keep their emotional homeostasis. I know that this is like a lot of heavy psychological stuff, but, and of course this is not, hey, figure your life out. It's not advertised. That's not rewarded. You're only rewarded for specific things, and exactly what that is in your community. So look at what has been fear enhancing or fear reinforcing for you. Usually it's you're then feeding the fire of negative self-belief, or I am not good enough. I am not, if I'm not this, then I am unlovable. And it's usually something that you cannot sustain. So especially in today's age about everything being sustainable, and especially now with the great reset of the pandemic and things, it really does. It is a large reset. And for a new normal is sort of crumbling right now. So our new normal doesn't have sort of steady ground. So you have to really look at where we're at in the state of all affairs, and sort of look at where more chaos is coming in, and don't allow it just to sweep vastly into your life through impaired boundaries or impaired standards for yourself. Realize that if they can keep you on unsteady ground, then that's where they control. So, so once again, fear can be a great motivator. Hey, get in shape, hurry up, or you better do that, so, but to some degree, but not where it's chronic, ongoing, and excessive, to the negation of the other, sort of being okay, being safe, not having to be anything, super, super special. The narcissist, they really feel that they are super special beyond most people. They're this, they're that. There's usually something that they feel they are very extraordinary, very special, and that they deserve special treatment as if. And so a lot of people then buy in to the narcissist, whether, it's in whatever system or wherever you found this, whether it's in a workplace, a community, a school, a volunteer group, a family system, a marriage, wherever you find it. Each people kind of really know very passionately where this is. So, but I also challenge you to get things sorted out so you can allow things to be and then move on and then understand what it is to be safely having a vision moving forward. And realize that where does the role of then fear have its part in your life? And are you able to identify and then manage that, especially when it becomes a tool of manipulation? You will never find anyone like me. You won't make it without me. I'm the only one who knows how to do this. Because of me, this, and you don't, because you aren't, you won't make it. You won't survive. You're not a lovable. You're not. So it's always, there's a negative. So they're always trying, and it's usually that's part of the blame. And usually the narcissist has nothing wrong with them. They don't have any somber moments. They don't have any things that they want to, work through. They will, gone. They will just move on. They do not have any need to have a come to Jesus, a kumbaya, a high five. I see where you're coming from. Kiss and make up. Wow, is that a this? They will have no part of it. They will keep dragging one through the mud, over the coals, through the tulips, and then down the ice shaft to wherever they like you. And then a lot of people, they don't like to feel dragged around like this. They don't like to feel powerless. They don't like to feel that they have no choice or contribution. They don't like to feel negated. This is not, and through exclusivity also is that fear. So the fear sort of manipulation, especially with a narcissist, there's an exclusivity. Us versus them. We are, they are not. This is right, everything wrong. This is, my opinion, nothing else matters. And they will always sort of get the word in edgewise. They will barrel through. They will walk by. They will not listen. I mean, it's just, that's part of the fear then that is sort of cast out onto others, because this sort of treatment, especially that of not being validated, the inner body, the sympathetic nervous system is switched on. The fight or flight is switched on. And it's very similar to an attack. So just like in the brainstem, we talk about the subconscious mind. This is the reptilian brain. You can read or you can look at the TED Talk, Dr. Joe Dispenza, The Three Brains. He's amazing. Look at the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton. He talks about neuroplasticity and the ability of the brain to, reformat itself and, change, meaning plastic, able to change. But looking at the fear element, it's a role of manipulation, because if they can control you through this pain, then you don't have any recourse to your own power. So you can't recognize and rise up and then call out, confront, come to Jesus, come to kumbaya, put it on the table, whatever you call it, having a powwow, but the narcissist will always have that sort of anger, rage, resentment, held over others. So there can be no purity. There can be no redemption. There is no heart to heart. There is no come to Jesus. There is no kumbaya. In fact, to the degree that it's almost blasphemous, meaning it's so irreverent to that which is bigger and greater than ourselves. I feel it's very irreverent. And that's part of the fear, because if you are in the irreverent, to me, that's a very scary, dark, insecure place to be, versus reverence, versus humility, versus gratitude, versus understanding one's boundaries and standards, and embracing one's limitations as a way of ascension or personal growth on the up and up, is very significant. But yet you will not see this reflection, recognition, or discourse with a narcissist. In fact, it might be off limits, taboo. We don't do that. We don't take this kumbaya walk on the beach. We don't, care about the earth. There's too many mosquitoes. Whatever it is, if it doesn't make them look good in the way that they want to look, so they have an agenda. Then if all else, so there's the fear. And oftentimes people are then saddled with this to be, do the work for them as if, so once again, the discontent becomes the source of the people-pleasing mechanism, which then creates oftentimes a personality that other people have to adopt in order to alleviate this fear or really just survive and cope. So I think a lot of just surviving and trying to make it from moment to moment, day to day, event to event becomes it will wear you down. It will exhaust you. And so you have to realize then you are allowing an external locus of control versus an internal locus of control, like we talk about in psychology, and internal motivation versus external motivation. So the fear, oftentimes, if it's designed to get you to attend to somebody or something and lose your cool, lose your bananas, lose your marbles, lose it for them. But then usually this becomes, I think in the hearts of people, they might have some sort of principled or philosophical reason. This is the right thing to do. It's good to be altruistic, put others first, honor your parents, honor women, honor men, honor this. So usually there's some sort of excuse mechanism that couples or allows the abuse or the person to tolerate the abuse or not acknowledge it, not validate it, just sort of swallow some crow, numb it out, not acknowledge, be bigger, you got to be strong. Hey, take another punch to the gut. Just be strong. Just fake it. Just do, a lot of people do not like to work against themselves, but they had then been rewarded for working against themselves. So this becomes very problematic. This will create an ongoing sense of fear, anxiety, because you are working against yourself and then you don't really know how to, or if it's okay, or what it feels like to be self-validating, safe, have patience, kindness, in these sort of experiences versus the chronic fear, the chronic doing, all that surface layer stuff which the narcissist will live in. They live and occupy that space and not other sort of spaces, if you will. So oftentimes you don't get this feeling of connection, like you have like an oil and vinegar experience. I'm here, they're there, there's a separation, and you cannot sort of have an intermingling or an integration. And this cycle will feel like it is never done. It will feel like you are never done. And then people then feel like, who would I then be if I didn't worry all the time? So then other people's identity is cast in the negative if they have been around long enough, months, years, decades, etc. And so meaning then your identity really becomes identified with worry, with concern, with people pleasing, with something unsustainable. You feel like you're barking up the wrong tree. Your ladder is up the wrong tree. Whatever you want to call it, you're on what I would call negative orderly direction, thinking, feeling, behaving, and becoming. Nod, meaning N-O, the wrong way for you. And then you can make sort of another decision, what I call pod thinking, positive, orderly direction, thinking, feeling, behaving, and becoming. So there's all these many layers of unfolding towards the positive, the lesser of the absence of fear, the presence of patience, the presence of presence, the presence of accomplishing things, the experience, the positive of contribution, the positive of belonging, connection, being heard, becoming your best, following your dream, following your whatever it is. So usually it's becoming your best, especially if you're, on the earth long enough. You'll sort of ascend through some levels, and then you want to not be like a robot. You want to be able to be inspired or eat well or live well or whatever it is you have a desire, a cloud 59, whatever it is that is for you. But that cloud, that cushion, that resilience, that buoyancy, that joyfulness of experience gets sort of extinguished, snuffed out, by this sort of fear, intimidation. It's emotional bullying. I consider it a very bully behavior. And really, all the bullies are cowards. So because they can't sort of stand up, and stand up, they sort of bully. They push over, whatever. Don't worry about it. But realize and ask yourself, about that. And because I think people hold on to the fear state because they go, who would I be if I didn't worry? Who would I be if I wasn't fearful all the time? And so this becomes an existential question where you have to understand, well, I am okay then. I am okay then. And then this oftentimes does not resonate with people. So you need to realize then that you've hit like the rock bottom. You've hit the black. And that's the black that we want to chisel away, open up, and then so you can live again and just be. So that is a great viewer question. We'll talk more about this in future videos. It's your buddy, Peace and Harmony.